Hey, what is going on Astro Wrestling Street Reviews? Cody here. I'm shooting from hip as always. And today, guys, I'm going to give you guys a WrestleMania 20 review. I've said that we become along with old WrestleMania reviews. And you know what? I'm going to go and do this one. I know Scott's going to be doing 22. I believe Jack is going to do 29. We have live reactions coming up this weekend for WrestleMania. If I remember correctly, let me see if I can have it down on my notes real quick. I have it. I have it on the video. We're doing WrestleMania 23, I believe, live reactions, if I remember correctly. And then Mania 17 is gonna be the last ones that we do. But if we have a little bit of time in between the reviews and everything, then we're gonna do WrestleMania 19 live reactions. But first, WrestleMania 20, guys. This was the WrestleMania held for Madison Square Garden. One of them, as per tradition at the time, there was every WrestleMania that had a 0 at the very end. It was at Madison Square Garden, with the exception of 30, which was held in New Orleans, the location of WrestleMania. This year, we saw the show with John Cena coming out, cutting a big rap on the Big Show. One of the funniest lines there, and one line that a lot of people like to remember, and was that Cena's itching to beat him like a penis with an STD. And I'm like, wait, are you trying to insinuate something to Cena? But a lot of people remember that line. And we get into the John Cena versus the Big Show matchup, which is about 10-minute match, United States Championship. Cena used 2 FUs to pick up the victory over the Big Show after he used it wasn't brass knuckles. It was custom knuckles that Cena had brought to the ring, and that was Cena's first championship win of his illustrious career. He would go on to win multiple more United States Championships and many world championships under his belt. Overall, the match, pretty all right opener. Could have been a lot better, but I mean, what could you expect with the Big Show, as big as he is, and the size that he is, can't really do a whole lot in the ring nowadays. We go into our first of 2 fatal 4-way matches for the tag team championships, Raw side of things. We had the team of Booker T, Rob Van Dam, who were the champions, going against the Dudleys. Garrison Cade and Mark Jindrak and La Resistance. Now, I'm going to let you guys know throughout these as well who I would have thought would have won. I would have probably predicted Cena to win the U.S. Championship. For this one, I honestly probably would have gone with the Dudley Boys, because I didn't know if like Booker T or RVD were going to be a thing for a long time or not. So I was like, well, I'd safe bet Dudleys. But Booker T and Rob Van Dam actually ended up retaining the championships on this night. The match is only like a little bit less than 8 minutes long. It was nothing really too bad, but not really anything to get overexcited for. Had good action in the ring and outside of the ring as well. Good close calls. And it really showcased the stars like La Resistance and Garrison Cade and Mark Jindrak before La Resistance broke off, and Renee Dupree broke off to SmackDown, and Garrison Cade and Mark Jindrak kind of separated. Jindrak went to SmackDown, kind of did his thing for a little bit, and then went from there. Overall, not bad, not great though. Could have been better. But I think I probably preferred this one over the SmackDown Fatal 4-Way Tag Team Championship match, which we'll get into it a little bit. Next, a rivalry viewed over a woman. It is Christian versus Chris Jericho. Okay, I don't know. Okay, sorry about that. Mike went a bit wonky. It goes from time to time. I do apologize. Like Christian and Chris Jericho were former World Tag Team Champions together, and as of late, leading up to this point, Jericho has been off his game, kind of teasing a face turn, and really turned face before Mania. Now, the story was that Trish Stratus is getting in the way of the friendship of Christian and Chris Jericho, which ultimately led to Christian turning his back on Jericho, thus leading to a match at WrestleMania. It started over a bet over $1 Canadian, over a bet of who could get in bed with either Trish or Lita. Jericho was going after Trish, and Christian was going after Lita because Lita at the time was having problems with Matt Hardy storyline-wise. Not real-life-wise yet. So there was a bet over there, which blew up in their face ultimately and led to the tag team match of Armageddon. And you can see Jericho just like, no, I don't want to do this. So Jericho had been teasing a face turn for quite some time at this point. ultimately Christian did turn his back on Jericho, and which that led to the match at WrestleMania. 15-minute long matchup, really, really great match. These two have excellent chemistry together. At the ending, was kind of silly, you know, unintentional. Christian gets the roll up 1, 2, 3. He didn't have to do the back elbow thing, and then afterwards, Trish turned on Jericho and ended up being with Christian. To me, Mike. Okay, sorry. If that's gonna happen from time to time, there's nothing really I could do about it. I think you really could have built this off of not Trish. Like you could have just left that on Armageddon, and then like Jericho, like have him still feel bad about it, but don't have Trish involved. Like if you want to bring her in, maybe sometime along the way on the build of Backlash, maybe then yeah, like if Jericho wants to rematch Trish, it's like no. Or you could have done something, or maybe just leave Trish out of it completely. I just think the whole involvement with Trish was kind of unnecessary because these two could have built a good story, I think, alone by themselves without the presence of any sort of like woman or any outside deal. Like build it off jealousy that Jericho's getting more popular and turn him face that way, and Christian could just build it off of jealousy from Jericho's popularity. Overall, it did make for a good story, and really good match. And the feud continued afterwards until Backlash, and even well past Backlash into a steel cage matchup. And even after that, they kind of built on that, and Jericho ended up beating Christian. I think in the last match was at Unforgiven later on that year for the vacant Intercontinental Championship. Next, we have the handicap matchup: Evolution, Randy Orton, Ric Flair, and Batista taking on The Rock. It's sock connection of The Rock and Mick Foley. This match was built based off of Randy Orton and Mick Foley, and I don't know why. I don't want to like say this as a bad thing. I don't know why they didn't just do Randy Orton and Mick Foley in a regular wrestling matchup, and then build it off there. However, I guess if you wanted to do just one-on-one matchup between the two, you did it right here. Mick Foley, if you guys don't know, was the co-general manager of Monday Night Raw for a little bit, and then he wanted to face Randy Orton in a match, and if Orton had lost, Foley would win the Intercontinental Championship and Eric Bischoff would be gone. However, if Foley lost, then Foley was gone for good. What had happened there was that Mick Foley ended up walking out in a bit of a weird twist of events, and Mick Foley left Raw after a bit. He decided, you know what, I'm going to come back. And he came back and got beat up by Evolution over and over and over and over again. And then he got help from The Rock, which led to this matchup at Madison Square Garden. The Rock and Mick Foley losing to Evolution, and I think that was a good move. Booking wise, not that it would have been necessarily a bad thing if Mick Foley would have won at this WrestleMania, to kind of give him a WrestleMania win, and for two to kind of be like, yeah, I beat you, I want a title match now, sort of thing. If you wanted to continue the Foley Randy Orton deal, other than just like, hey, I want another match, without like anyone just being like, hey, no one, I beat you, I don't really need to prove anything. But needless, that's a little nitpick. The Evolution Rock Stock Connection match was really good. For a handicap matchup, you don't really expect handicap matches to be that good, but this one was actually one of the better handicap matches in pro wrestling. Next, you have a Playboy evening gown matchup. Tori Wilson and Sable versus Miss Jackie and Stacy Keibler in the build. But this matchup was basically that Stacy and Miss Jackie were jealous that Tori and Sable got on the cover of Playboy. If you guys remember that cover, congratulations. Your life is good. But overall, this match wasn't really meant to be anything special, and this match, like match quality wise, was a dud. Obviously, display of women wise, it was good, but it wasn't like good match quality wise. And I really think it was just kind of silly to put this on a WrestleMania card, just to put in a promotion of matches. I think this is one of the more silly ones. And really, all the promotion matches were silly, with the exception of one of them. And even that one wasn't really that fantastic. But we'll get to that in a little bit. Next was the Cruiserweight Open for the Cruiserweight Championship. We had Chavo Guerrero with Chavo Classic's father versus Akio, Billy Kidman, Funaki, Jamie Noble, Nunzio, Rey Mysterio, Shannon Moore, Tajiri, and Ultimate Dragon. The way this went is that two men will start off. They have a one-on-one matchup with one person eliminated. Another person will come in and face the guy that won, and that goes on until the final two men. And Chavo Guerrero was already guaranteed to be one of the final two men in this, since he was drawn number 10 and was automatically going to enter last in the matchup. You had some good spots in there. You had the Jamie Noble sleeper, Dragon sleeper eliminating, I believe, Ultimate Dragon, and I think Shannon Moore as well. Noble put on a good performance. So did Billy Kidman with that BK bomb off the top rope. I think he used that to eliminate Noble. He had Mysterio do his sunset flip power bomb to eliminate Billy Kidman, and you have him eliminate Tajiri and take out Akio. Akio was never eliminated in the match. What had happened was Tajiri went to spray mist in Rey Mysterio's face and missed, and Akio got hit, and his vision was blind, and he was taken out of the matchup completely. Mysterio pinned Tajiri, and it came down to Chavo and Rey Mysterio. Tajiri had a cheap shot, and he thought, oh, Mysterio's definitely out of this, which he wasn't out of it for a little bit. They had a good back and forth, Chavo and Rey Mysterio did, until ultimately Chavo won with the help of Chavo Classic, retaining the Cruiserweight Championship. And once again, Rey Mysterio is kind of down in the bad side of things when it comes to the Cruiserweight Championship. Ultimately, the match was really good. Really saw a lot of great action from all the Cruiserweights here. And the next match that followed up by it, well, we'll get into that. Next, we have Goldberg and Brock Lesnar, a dream match everyone talked about that they wanted until the match happened. And not even Stone Cold Steve Austin as the guest referee could save this matchup. And this match went on for about 14 minutes, and about half of that was sloppy wrestling, standing around, locking up, going back and going again, and just ultimately, a spear, kick out, F5. None of us were excited for this when the match was happening, and the crowd visibly and rightfully so were pissed off because they got robbed of a dream matchup, because Goldberg and Brock Lesnar were both on their way out of the company. Brock Lesnar, we thought was going to stay for a little bit longer, but then it was determined that, yeah, he's going to go to the Minnesota Vikings and fail at that. So he was out of WWE after WrestleMania 20. Goldberg's contract was a 1-year thing, so we already knew he was probably going to be out of the company, and his booking in WWE wasn't really a high point or something for WWE to be excited over. And ultimately, this match really fell on its ass. This is the second interpromotional matchup, Raw vs. SmackDown match, with Raw coming out on top in this one, when SmackDown won the Evening Gown matchup. And just like the Evening Gown match, this one was really a dud in my book, and one that was replaced much better by a match that was shorter, yet more action than just walking around and then locking up. After that, we had the SmackDown Fatal 4-Way Tag Team Championship matchup. Now, I do kind of get why this one was not as good as the Fatal 4-Way for the Raw Tag Team Championships. Now, this one was followed up by Goldberg and Brock, so obviously this match, in my view, surpassed that. However, to follow by that, the fans were kind of uninterested in this match, and there wasn't really a whole lot to talk about in this match. You had the nice spot where JBL did the last call, follow-away slam on the outside, sending over the top rope, and then Rikishi count him in the clothesline and a Samoan drop, and then just sit down, 1, 2, 3, and that was it. And then you had a dance party afterwards. Hello. Okay, sorry again. Not really a whole lot to talk about when it comes to the SmackDown side of the Fatal 4-Way matchup. And it was more of a hey, you could do this, I could do this too, or Vince McMahon was sort of announced like, hey, Fatal 4 is everywhere for the tag team titles, and I don't know a whole lot about that, but overall, Raw side won when it comes to the match quality of the tag team championships. Not that this match was horrible, it's just I don't know, it just really didn't. I don't know, and part of it I will say had to do with people not being interested in the Brock and Goldberg match, and then being set off on that. The SmackDown Fatal 4-Way tag title match really couldn't help itself, to be honest. Next, we have a women's championship matchup. It is hair versus title. Victoria versus Molly Holly. If Molly lost, she had to have her hair shaved, but if she won, she'd become the women's champion. Nothing really too special about this matchup. Not really horrible. The botches. There were a couple botches here and there, but ultimately Victoria did. But a decent matchup nonetheless, as Victoria retained the women's championship. And you had a spot where Molly Holly was running away, and then she tried to shave Victoria's hair, which backfired. And ultimately, Molly Holly had her hair shaved, which sucks for her. Ultimately, match was all right. Nothing too special, nothing really horrible. But next, we get back into the good side of things. The past, 2 matches, well, really, Goldberg and Brock set everyone off. The tag title match didn't really have a chance due to the fact that, well, Goldberg and Brock had happened, and people were pissed at that. Women's title match, people were still they were coming back to it, but they're like, it wasn't, Not really to sneeze over, but it wasn't really horrible. But next, you have the WWE Championship matchup. Eddie Guerrero taking on Kurt Angle, one of the better matches. And I think a lot of people were brought back because of this match, because they're like, okay, yeah, definitely. Eddie Guerrero, Kurt Angle, going to be excellent, excellent match. And that it was delivered. The build for this matchup first started off with Eddie Guerrero shocking the world and becoming the WWE Champion against Brock Lesnar, while Kurt Angle won the number one contenders matchup between Big Show, Cena, and himself in a triple threat matchup to get his spot in the Mania. Kurt Angle returned heel in a matchup against Chavo Guerrero for the WWE Championship when he was refereeing. And he said that Eddie Guerrero is a disgrace to the championship due to his drug addiction, and he wants to bring prestige back to the championship. He will not allow Eddie Guerrero to become the WWE champion or be the WWE champion for long. He's going to take it at WrestleMania. And I like how they kind of built it. And it was like that Kurt Angle was trying to say that I'm not the bad guy, but I'm the bad guy. I'm trying to do this to protect everyone, but in reality, Angle doesn't really give a damn about the people. He wants the WWE Championship, and the way that they kind of played it off was really good. And the match itself was really, really excellent. You had Eddie Guerrero lie, cheat, and steal his way to retaining the championship. Not a lot of people talked about this, but when the boot slipped off of Eddie Guerrero after that ankle lock, and Eddie went to roll up Angle for the win, he actually had his foot on the rope as well. And I've seen a lot of people that talk about WrestleMania 20 don't talk about that spot. I don't know if they just ignored it because it's Eddie's lie, cheat, and steal gimmick. But I find that excellent. That on top of the boot thing, that he grabbed the ropes as well, almost unintentionally too, though, to be honest. Really excellent matchup. Eddie Guerrero retaining the championship, and they would go on to end the rivalry ultimately, really at SummerSlam, I would say, even though they kind of carried it afterwards and kind of dropped it at Survivor Series, but really their end-off deal one-on-one wise was at SummerSlam in another excellent matchup. But that is neither. That is SummerSlam. This is WrestleMania 20 we're talking about here. Next, you have the return of The Undertaker, the dead man gimmick, the dark side gimmick. As the story was that Kane buried The Undertaker alive because this biker gimmick was not the Undertaker that Kane knew, that he teamed up with, that because they were monsters at the time, and Taker became a fraud, and Taker was all this, that he became one of the fans. And then from the Rumble all the way to Mania, Taker started to haunt Kane, and it was like, yeah, I'm okay. You know what? I'm coming back, and I'm coming under a different persona. And WrestleMania came along. Kane came out, with that weird towel thing on his head, and the Druids came out, and Paul Bearer came back. It was a short-lived comeback for Paul Bearer, unfortunately. But you see Taker coming out, and Kane throughout this match. And I love how Kane was just willing to be afraid of this side of the Undertaker and saying, you're not real, you're not real. And like, it does kind of hurt Kane, but I do like the fact that he was willing to do this for the Undertaker. It really told more to the story. He's like, no, this is not real. No, you got to come back in a bike with a bike, and I'm going to beat you. I'm not worried about it. But then this was kind of like, oh shit, Taker's back with this whole dead man gimmick and getting the win. Now the match itself wasn't really excellent, but it told a good story, which is why I consider this, out of the 3 promotional matches, this one won by far. When it comes to the interpromotional matches, there were 3 on this night, and SmackDown ultimately ended up on top when it comes to this. And now the main event, the one that everyone wants to remember but WWE wants to forget, is the triple threat for the World Heavyweight Championship. Chris Benoit, Shawn Michaels, and Triple H for the World Heavyweight Championship. This is the first incident where Benoit jumped from SmackDown to Raw and challenged for the World Heavyweight Championship after Michaels and Triple H had a hellacious last man standing match, which ended in a draw. You had the contract signing that came out, and Triple H signed. Benoit was going to sign, but Michaels came out. He's like, no, I need to settle this with Triple H at WrestleMania. And Benoit was like, hey, I get that, but it's not going to happen. Super kick to the face. Michaels signs the contract, and ultimately decided, since Stone Cold was the sheriff, that at WrestleMania it would be a triple threat with Triple H as the champion. Shawn Michaels kind of signed the contract, and Benoit, who was the Royal Rumble winner. And the build from there was good, that each man could agree that, yeah, we don't want this guy to win. And the match itself at WrestleMania is one of the absolute classics. The first ever triple threat match for a World Championship at WrestleMania. More would come to follow, but none of them have been able to top this, in my view. Maybe Mania 30 would come close, but that's only because they were looking at this Mania and were like, yeah, we need Bryan in the place that Benoit was, because, yeah, we need to push Benoit out of history. the match itself was one of my personal favorites, and I think to this day it's still my favorite WrestleMania match of all time. The World Championship match that they did it again at Backlash. Benoit overcame all the odds of Triple H and Shawn Michaels and would become the new World Heavyweight Champion. And yeah, the ending scene where Benoit and Guerrero would embrace in the ring, both with World Championships. And it was just a beautiful, amazing scene in my view. A great way to end WrestleMania. Um, and ultimately, this WrestleMania came to an end on a very, very high note, and that was really good. Not that I didn't think that Benoit Guerrero, my bad, Triple H, Benoit, and Shawn Michaels wouldn't deliver. I just think that, like, I don't know, with the way fans were nowadays, and I think, or back then, I should say, my apologies. But with the way that they were robbed of their I don't know if you guys can hear me or not. It seems to be lagging. I'm not for sure. Um, I got my computer's going all sorts of haywire as well. I think we're okay right now. Okay, we're good right now. I'm gonna go on my phone real quick to see if it's all good. Let me see. Good. Okay, we're good right now. I'm gonna go on my phone to see if it's all good. Okay, so we're good. Good enough for me to finish the video off. By saying ultimately WrestleMania 20 is gonna be remembered where it all began again, and it's gonna be remembered for some of the lows. Evening Young match, Goldberg, Brock, and some of the highs like Guerrero and Angle, the triple threat match for the world title, even Crypto, could be classified up there as one of the better matches of the night. Maybe put Cena for the sole fact that was Cena's breakout moment of the night. Even the Cruiserweight opening and the handicap match were other jewels and gems that were in WrestleMania 20. Overall, a lot of people consider WrestleMania 17 to be the best, and there's very good reason why. To me, I prefer WrestleMania 20. And it has a lot to do with the triple threat match at the very end. Not that WrestleMania 17 was fantastic in its own right. We will get to live reactions on that at some point in the very near future by April. But I prefer WrestleMania 20. I always preferred WrestleMania 20 over 17 and looking at 17 and watching 20 as well by a slim nowadays. Now that I've looked at 17 and knew why people loved it so much and cherished it so much, and there's very good reason why, and you guys will find out why in the WrestleMania 17 live reactions that we do very soon down the line. But I'm gonna go to the comments to see if anyone's commented. No one's commented on this whole thing. So thank you guys for watching. We got a lot more, guys. We got WrestleMania 25, I believe. I mistook in Mania 23. Mania 25 live reactions coming up this weekend, sometime tomorrow, Saturday or Sunday, whenever Scott and Jack are available. We will give you guys live reactions for WrestleMania 25. You've also got reviews of WrestleMania 22 from Scott and WrestleMania 29 from Jack. You have Mania 17 live reactions coming up in April, and then you might get WrestleMania 19 live reactions. Maybe, I don't know. That could be maybe something that we decide to do down the line at some point if we want to do random live reactions. But I don't know. But this is the beginning, guys. I know we've kind of been putting this off for a bit. I apologize for that. But we're back right here, and we're going to give you guys the Road to WrestleMania series that we got going on right here. Road to WrestleMania 34 starts here for the National Wrestling Introducers. It's March 15th, guys. By April 8th, you guys will have all classic material and current material as well. But thank you guys for watching. We will see you guys. I'm going to look one more time in the comments. No comments. If you guys want to leave your thoughts on WrestleMania 20 in the comments down below, feel free to do so, guys. Thank you guys for watching. And remember, shoot for the hip as always. And we'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out, everyone.